So excited about my new haircut. I guess I feel like I've emerged from the hibernation of the crazy summer and decided I needed to get something done to my hair. So new haircut, very excited about it, very excited about it. Hi guys, today is Sunday the 3rd of February, so we're firmly in that I guess sabbat period, so Lughnasadh for us down here in the Southern Hemisphere, and I thought I'd just sit in front of the camera and do some reflections on how I felt so far, celebrating and reflecting on, I guess, the energies and the vibes I'm getting at the moment. So I made a short video where I made a bannock out of like oat flour, and I found that actually really enjoyable. I think that creating something, whether it's baking or crafting, is something that I do want to continue doing for the sabbats of the wheel of the year. I found that very enjoyable and I guess rewarding, and so that was definitely something that I thought was really fun. And I caught up with a friend and we had brunch, and I decided I would, I guess, honor the energies of the particular sabbat, and I instead of like going for something savory, I went for like a fruit platter and some scones as well. So I thought, you know, that way I've got sort of like the wheat flour and like wheat products, and also like all the fruits of the season. So just, I guess, a little way to be mindful of I guess the energies of the season, while also keeping it very low-key and not sort of announcing to my friend, hey, so I'm just gonna do this because it's Lughnasadh. Another thing I had planned to do but never got around to, and I suppose so it's Sunday morning where I am, or Sunday mid-morning, and so there's plenty of time to be getting outside, and today is actually a bright sunny day, and it's not going to be super hot as it has been the last like 2 weeks. So it is possible for me to get outside and get out in nature, but I'm finding that I'm very resistant to that idea, and I think that is because it has been so hot lately. Now, I don't want to sort of sit there and, I guess, bag out the weather and sort of just go in that tangent, but I do want to say that our Bureau of Meteorology said that for Australia it was the hottest January on record, like recorded history ever. So that's kind of what we're dealing with at the moment. In the grand scheme of things, of course, if all I have to complain about is the heat, then I'm doing pretty okay. So in other parts of Australia, like for context, we have the state of Queensland, so northern Queensland, around the Townsville area, they've been dealing with flooding, so a lot of their houses have been flooded, a lot more are under threat, and they're just watching the weather to make sure that or in the hopes that the rain eases up or stops completely, so that some of the homes actually then become out of danger, to the point where they've shut down schools, they've shut down workplaces, and are urging people to, you know, like just not go to work, not go to school, and, you know, they've got people, like lots of residents, watching to see, like, you know, whether their homes will become under threat or not. So that's going on in the northern part of Australia, and then down the south, so at the very bottom of Australia, the state of Tasmania, it has been dealing with really bad bushfires. So bushfires have been raging across the state, and they haven't had the rain on their side to be able to stop the bushfires like in a timely fashion. So that bushfires have just been raging there as well. It hasn't the fire services and the emergency services, you know, they do get the warnings out, so no one has been, I suppose, surprised by the direction of the fire or anything like that, but it has meant, you know, like that we've had a lot of land destroyed and some property destroyed and everything as well down there. So you know, you've got those extremes. So summer for us is quite a destructive force, I'm finding, and this is not, I suppose, the first year that we've had bushfires and we've had flooding sort of in the more tropical zones. You know, summer for us is a time where it's quite dangerous in terms of, like, you know, fire danger and fire hazards and that as well. I suppose for us, summer can be almost more dangerous than winter can be, I suppose, in the Northern Hemisphere, where it gets quite cold. Here in Australia we don't get as cold, and you know, we don't have so many worries about, you know, like frostbite and you know, like things freezing to death and that sort of thing. It can get cold, but it doesn't get that cold, and there are not many areas that even see snow. So for us, really, summer is one of the dangerous times. And then you obviously get a lot of you know, you do get some casualties and stuff because people are not keeping hydrated, and obviously, especially the you know, the small children and the elderly and that as well. You do get you know, some people that perish in the hot weather as well. So in general, summer is quite a destructive kind of force for us, and especially once it really gears up as well. And so the idea of like going outside and being in nature, I love that idea, but I'm so resistant to it because it's just been so hot that I just think, no, it's hot, it's sticky, and it's not something I want to do. The last thing I want to do is go for like a bush walk in the heat, or, you know, like climb a hill or something like that. Basically stand outside in the sun and potentially get sunburnt. So that is something that I've really noticed that I'm like super resistant to at the moment. So I'm gonna just honor that and just stay indoors happily in the climate. But I've just been taking care of my house plants, and I have some house plants on a balcony and some in the bathroom. So I've just sort of been taking care of those, and I had a bath last night while it wasn't super hot, and that was really enjoyable. And with all the plants in there, it was sort of like really nice. It was a little bit like being in nature, so I was sort of happy with that. But so that's one thing that I noticed I won't be doing for this particular Lughnasadh, and I don't know if that's going to be a recurrence every year. Like, it's because it just seems that early February for us is always really hot. So that's one thing, and I suppose that's the main thing really. In other terms, and I have spoken about this before, that this isn't our first harvest here in Australia. Like, we've been harvesting since before December, so we've had a lot of harvest. We've had a lot of stone fruits in the lead up to the December 25 Christmas, and you know, like, we've had fresh fruits and vegetables here for ages. If anything, everyone is ready for autumn. Everyone is ready for the changing of the season. On Friday, so Thursday was 40 degrees, which I'll put a what do you call it, translation up there for the Fahrenheit. But so Thursday was 40 degrees, and like hot and sunny. And then Friday, they said that it was going to cool down for the weekend. So there was a late change in the Thursday evening, and so obviously everyone had all doors and windows open to like let in the breeze. And then I went to work on Friday morning, and everyone's got their like doors open, like to try and catch the breeze. I ran some errands for work, and I went to a printing place, and they had their door wide open, and they were trying to catch the breeze. So if anything, everyone was like welcoming the cool change, and sort of looking forward to I guess the changing of the season, like, and it becoming cooler and more sort of like temperate and that sort of thing. And you had, over the weekend, I ended up having to go into the shops, and it was just so busy. I feel like everyone had suddenly emerged and were going about their business now that like the weather had just finally cooled down. So it was very much like an emerging and I guess being able to like get outside and coming out of like a hibernation, almost like an enforced sort of hibernation, which sort of reminds me of you know, like big cats and stuff, when you see them like in like documentaries and that sort of thing, like in the like afternoon and the hottest parts of the day, they just go and have a snooze and there's not much movement. So I feel like that's pretty much where we have been at the moment. There's been not much movement. Everyone's sort of taking shelter indoors and like, or inside air conditioned like buildings, and there's, you know, like if you drive past local parks and that, they're just empty because it's just so hot. So I feel like the cool change sort of really revived everyone, or at least it felt like it did for a lot of the people that I spoke to. And yeah, it's sort of like a bit of like an emerging and a bit of like a second wind to get through this last part of summer, so the rest of February and then sort of into March, because it sort of doesn't necessarily change, you know, like on March 1. So I feel like it's sort of given us that second wind to sort of like see out the rest of the summer and hopefully have the crazy like heat wave just end, so that it just becomes sort of like more temperate, more manageable as a season. So those are some of the things that I really noticed about I suppose the particular time and the energy of Lughnasadh for me here at the moment. Mini break there while I just spilt tea all over my hand. At least it's been cooling down for a while. So that was, I guess, my reflection on Lughnasadh, and the fact that I haven't really felt very connected to it this time around. I don't know if it's just because of the weather, or it's I guess tied to a harvest festival which doesn't really sync up with our own experience here. Would I celebrate Lughnasadh again? Yes, I think I probably would. I really enjoyed the baking exercise, and I think maybe that could be something that I take into the future, where, you know, I observe the sabbat by potentially crafting something or baking something, or just making something with my hands, something small and to mark the occasion, but not necessarily making a whole weekend or a whole like sort of production out of it. So that's where I'm sort of thinking at the moment. And of course this is my first sort of documented and very deliberate celebration of a Wheel of the Year Sabbat, so things may change as I go along. So I don't think I'd necessarily say, no, I'm never going to celebrate Lughnasadh again, or I don't connect with it. I think it's just exploring a way of how I can connect with the energy of the season that's, I suppose, relevant for me in this particular area at this time of the year. So I think that's something to take away from that in general. So if you live in the Southern Hemisphere as well, let me know how you guys observe or celebrate Lughnasadh, and you know what you guys have noticed about the particular season. Do you celebrate it like around the 2nd of February as well, or like from the 1st to the 4th of February? Do you hold it earlier? Do you hold it later? Do you not celebrate that particular one at all? I'm really curious as to how other people in the Southern Hemisphere observe this particular Sabbath. And also to everyone in the Northern Hemisphere, I hope you have a blessed Imbolc. I know the energies up there for you guys are like completely different, so I hope that you are enjoying yourselves, whatever you are doing, and I will see you in the next video. Bye everyone.